Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this podcast is for you. Recruiting is a battlefield where the rules keep changing and the chaos never stops. As the world shifted to remote work, real connection and unfiltered learning have never been more urgent. This isn't just a podcast, it's your survival guide. Welcome to the revolution, your digital bullpen.
Hello.
So excited to have you.
This one's been a long time coming, it feels like, but we are very excited to have our guest today. But before we introduce Betsy, I just want to welcome everybody back to your digital bullpen. If this is your first time joining, welcome. And if you've been with us, we truly are grateful for all of your support. This podcast is about real stories from people in recruiting, from building teams, taking risks, and redefining success in staffing. So if you like what you hear, make sure that you follow us on Spotify,
Tap
YouTube,
that
or LinkedIn.
like button.
Yes.
Tap it. Yeah.
Smash it. I'm warming
Share
up
us.
to that.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, today's guest is Betsy Tong, and just a side story, we actually got introduced to her through a different guest, Linnell Flint, so very excited to make that actual connection. We've been following her, we've been chatting with her, and so we're very excited to have her on today. So Betsy is the creator of the Authority Architecture Framework, which helps senior leaders turn their career wins into lasting influences, income, and impact. A 7-time bestseller author and LinkedIn voice, wild, 7 books, wild.
Amazing.
She proves that experience is still compound interest. When structured the right way, Betsy shows high achievers how to package their legacy into thoughtful leadership using AI as a tool and not a threat. And just to list a few things that Betsy has done, because the list is actually very long.
So long.
When you get to be my age, though.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's just sheer talent and expertise right here. So she's built a 500 million business at Tech, starting with one PowerPoint.
Amazing.
She's rewired Intel's go-to-market engine and influenced global strategy. She's turned around a stalled global IT program in just 12 months. She's used her Authority Architecture Framework to generate 1.3 million impressions and 100K in 100 days on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Creating an AI-powered book writing method to help professionals bottle their expertise fast. She's an advocate for women in transition, authentic personal branding, and reinventing relevance in the age of AI. She's a daily swimmer, bold contrarian. Betsy proves the next chapter doesn't have to be smaller. It can be your best yet. Welcome,
Oh my
Betsy.
gosh, amazing. And she eats on keyboards.
Yes.
I eat over my keyboard.
Yes,
There's
I do
crumbs
too.
on it.
Same.
All the things.
I
All
love
the things.
No, this one's a real treat. And, one of the things we love about our guests is that we keep learning from their network. And so we're very fortunate to have Betsy here. So let's get into her story.
Dig in. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I know the story, but I know there's going to be way more nuggets here, and I'm just so excited. So tell us, Betsy, what's inspired you to start your consulting business? What really kicked that off for you?
You know what really kicked it off for me was getting laid off.
Okay.
That is the truth. And looking around at the age of 56 and going, oh my God, I just cannot put myself out there and get interviewed and be putting my resume into ATS tools and getting the thanks but no thanks,
God,
even though
so many,
nobody ever saw it. Right. And by the way, not even getting the thanks but no thanks, because I think ghosting now is a thing. And that just seemed like an utter horror show for me.
It is. It really is.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I also knew my father was starting down his path of dementia, and he's still in early stage, but you could see how quickly his mental capacity deteriorated once my mom died and he lost any social structure, obviously retired, didn't have anything to do, didn't have anybody to engage with. And I thought, oh my gosh, on the one hand, I could go out there and try to interview and feel rotten about myself, or I could watch my brain deteriorate like I was watching my dad's.
Mm.
Either, either, either extreme was so unpalatable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, what I did was what most of us, I think, do when we have a lot of experience and a reputation, and we think, I can be a consultant. People will want me. And I said,
Mhm.
I'm a great problem solver. Ta-da! And I learned very quickly that if I couldn't describe what I did, if I didn't describe exactly how I got results, nobody could figure out how to refer me. Nobody could figure out how to buy me. Like I have friends who I've worked with since that period who've turned around and said to me, Betsy, I didn't actually know what you did. And I'm
Mm.
like, yeah, me neither.
You're like, yeah,
Me neither, right?
articulating that can be difficult for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, exactly. And so, one of the things that I also did, which I think many of us do when we have a lot of experiences, we think, okay, well, what helped me jump the hurdles in the past? Let me take all the course, especially if we're women, right? Let me
Yeah.
take
Mhm.
all the courses. Let me go
Oh.
get the gurus that help me. And so I literally spent $35,000 trying to figure out how to build a business. When if you look at my history,
Mhm.
I kind of know how to build a business, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done it.
You
I've
just
done it.
question yourself and you just
I
don't, yes.
and I didn't think I was good enough.
Yeah.
And then what really helped unlock and made me think about like how to do things differently was realizing that a lot of my identity was based on my title, my
Mm,
former company logo, and the team that I had. And
yeah.
very little was about me and who I was and the
Mm,
Mhm.
context of what I did. And then I heard this story over and over and over again by so many people that I talked to. And so I started writing about it on LinkedIn and I
mm.
started building in plain sight. And I
Mm.
started talking about I'm 58. I did a internet death calculator the other day, which said I'm going
Oh
to be
Lord.
living. I know, right? That I'm
Don't
going
bring
to
that near
I
me.
don't, I
Or do.
know. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the secret about how to game it, okay?
Yes.
Because that's important too. So I
Yeah.
did this internet death calculator, and it turns out I'm going to live to 115. And it's
That's
like,
amazing.
I have a lot of years to figure it out. And that's
Yeah.
why I think that for all of us, no matter what our age,
Mm,
reinvention is possible. Not
yeah.
just possible, but we have the time to do it. And my God, we can be so much better at it
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
have experience, because we have this foundation of knowledge,
Mm,
because we can tweak very quickly and we aren't held by our ego. It's just taking the first step. And that's what
yeah.
I write
Yeah.
about. And
Yeah.
now I'll tell you how to game the calculator. What
Yes.
Yes,
it
please.
really is triggered off of is your BMI, which we know is a fake measure now,
Mhm.
but your BMI and then also your optimism. And so
Mm,
and because I'm me, I tested it. I was like, what if my BMI were this? Or
Okay.
what if I were pessimistic? And so pessimism ends up being one of the biggest factors in your longevity,
yeah.
according to these
Interesting.
calculators.
Yeah.
Positive people live longer. I love it.
Positive
The
people.
people live longer. Well, Betsy,
Well, and it's like it
yeah.
is positivity, but it's also like how you view the issue, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's really part of like perspective. And I love what you said. What you're saying really is it's never too late. And being in the workforce for as long as
Mm,
we've been, you're not starting from zero
No.
either. So
yeah.
I love what you're saying about that.
It's true. And I think I love this. And I think, it is interesting when you take that, you said, take that first step, right? And just get in there. And I'm sure you failed forward many times in this process. And I mean, you've written now 6 books, 5 of them are bestsellers. Amazing. I guess when did you decide, like, I'm just going to write a book? Because I thought about it. I thought about writing a book, but I'm like, Okay, Paul, you're not a writer. I have a hard time reading sometimes. I do audiobooks. So what made you do, what drove you?
Well,
Yeah.
by the way, as inspiration for you, my fake internet boyfriend, Simon Sinek, who I love,
I
but
love
probably
Simon
would
Sinek.
very much irritate me in real life because apparently he's very messy and I'm not into that. And also, he's not a reader, and I'm a big
Yeah.
reader, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, Simon, I'm sorry if you see this. It's not
We
going to
still love
happen.
you. Yeah, it's
It's
still
not going
love
to
you.
happen.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
not
do
you, it's
love
me.
you. I do love. No, just kidding.
That's
Like,
amazing.
can you
I love
imagine?
that.
I would be hyperventilating if you were.
Totally. I
Um,
love that.
yeah. So Simon Sinek, who has written amazing books, is not a
Amazing.
reader. Like that is
Yeah.
what he will say
That's
over and over again. And it's incredibly hard for him to write, and he does it anyway.
Yeah.
But for me, what I thought about was so my whole life, I've wanted to write a book, I think, like most of us, and didn't know where to start. And had girlfriends who were writing a book at the same time, and they were probably 9 months into their journey of writing a book together. And it just sounded hellacious, right? Like the non-technically enabled publishing team that was working with them that kept adding words that they didn't intend
mm,
and twisting to add value and making them use tools like I think they were even trying to edit together through Word and whatever locks the publishing team put on the books. It made it so it sounded horrible. It just sounded
Mm-hmm.
horrible. And so for me, my first book happened on the weekend of July 4th of 2024. And I said I had just rolled off a call with a client who was like, um, I would love it if you would give me a book on AI. And in my mind, I was thinking, why would you read a book on AI and not just use it? And then I thought, I
Great
would read a
question.
book on AI because I'm a
yeah.
dork. And so I said, I'm going to write a book on AI for dorks like me. And so this was very early in my journey. And so and I'm a systems person. I grew up,
Yeah.
I spent years running manufacturing and building out big operations globally. And so I kind of have this mentality and brain that is trained to think about how do I get you from point A to B? And what are the micro moments and steps that
Mm,
are things you must do versus
Mm.
things you can get somebody else to do for you? And then how did I break down the things that were mental blocks in the past where I would start a book and then, a couple weeks later, abandon it? Sort of like New Year's
yeah.
Eve's resolutions, right? You've
Sure.
forgotten them by
1000%.
the end
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
first week,
It's
right? And so most of people, what they think about when they write a book is being alone for months and months going
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
type. By the way,
Yeah.
this is a typewriter.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did over that the
Typing, typing, typing.
typewriter.
Yes, exactly. And it's just sheer drudgery at some point.
hmm
And so I thought, I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to write the book in 72 hours. And then I
Freaking
thought,
awesome.
then I thought about all the little elements that block me in the past. One is I've always hated writing outlines. So I said,
Mm.
great,
Yeah.
AI is going to help me do that.
hmm
And I created a development editor that would help me structure the book. And then I had to think about, I had to really remember my purpose for writing the book and
mm
why it was important that I did it. It wasn't about, fame and fortune. It was really about what is the transition that I wanted
Mhm.
Ian, my reader, the guy that I had just met with, to go through as he read the book, and what would be
Mm.
important for me to tell him that he would find insightful and useful. And so I had Ian as a custom GPT that I created and development editor. And together we worked through the book, including Ian asking me questions about different chapters that I then
Mm.
filled in and
mm
then used AI to help me create. And so it wasn't about AI churning out lots of schlock, which we all know
Yeah.
AI
It
can
can
Yes.
do.
do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was really about creating a system that got me through the mental blocks and the
Mm.
work blocks that stopped me from writing. And so 72 hours later, like
Mm.
I was depleted. There was a lot of vegan ice cream that had been consumed along the way, but I had a book. I had a
Amazing.
book.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then Kindle allows you to publish. And, for me, putting it up on Kindle meant 3 hours later, I had a book on Amazon,
That's
right?
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
you
and you're
know?
like pinching yourself. You're like, did
And
I
I'm
just
like,
do that?
wait, how did that happen? And meanwhile, my girlfriends were still like, we're still editing, right? And I was like, yeah, good luck
You're
with
like,
that.
writing books is easy.
Like,
Why doesn't everyone?
I didn't even want to tell them what I was doing, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And then 6 days later, after my book was published, I happened to have a talk I was giving at UCLA. And so I just told people about the book and they bought it and I made it a bestseller, right?
That's
Amazing.
awesome.
And so this is a system that I have iterated over time and now teach others to it. And one of the most gratifying things was I got an email the other day from my client right before we met for our last meeting. And she said, I have a book. I have a book, right? And here's somebody who I was like, oh, this is going to be really tough for her. Like I didn't know whether she was going to make it, and
Yeah.
she
Right.
made it. And I read
That's
the book,
awesome.
and it's good, right? It
Nice.
is
Awesome.
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
That's
amazing. That is the
awesome.
best. That is the best when you
yeah,
start seeing that you're like paying it forward. Like what you've
Yeah,
done actually is starting to impact other people's lives, which is amazing.
yeah,
totally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
absolutely.
And I love that you took somebody's thought and you're like, wait, that could be something because I'm
Mhm.
interested in it. And one thing I've learned or have noticed when you're kind of, whether it's LinkedIn or any other socials out there, there's a community for almost anything, right?
Yeah.
Like anything.
Mhm.
And if you are targeting the right communities, if you are
Mhm.
sharing thoughtful content like you do, people are going to be attracted to that. And I
Mhm.
love that we can use this technology to do all of that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody, no matter what their stage of career, no matter what their desires are, getting good at LinkedIn
Mm.
or social media in general, but LinkedIn happens to be the professional platform
Right.
that I know
Mhm.
and use.
Yeah.
Um, like there is no better leverage you can create. And so, as an example, last week I post every day.
Yeah.
Um,
And by the way, if you're
and
not following Betsy, guys,
You
follow
have
because
to. It's so good.
it's not overcomplicated. Like
it's not,
some
it
people use
really isn't.
editors and like all these things, and you're just
Hmm.
No,
like,
no, no.
yeah,
Yeah, I post, to your point, I post about something I care about. I post to somebody I care about. Um, and last week I had my post reached 177,000 people, right? And mostly driven by two posts that took me a half hour to write.
mm, yeah,
There is nothing on, and by the way, LinkedIn, I pay for premium, but you
yeah,
could do it for free.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
free, right?
yeah.
There's no
absolutely.
leverage that is better than that. I mean, forget
Hmm.
about Facebook ads, forget about
Hmm.
targeting, forget about DMs. I had 177,000 people
Amazing.
see what I wrote and get a chance to get to know me and decide whether they wanted to be in my world or not. And then
Yeah,
over
Hmm.
time, ideally work with me. And that is what gets me from, you know, just
yeah,
posting to conversion, right? Because there's no
Yeah.
point in posting if you don't have an intention.
yes,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about LinkedIn too, because I know you have a ton of thoughts, but just to transition a little bit into kind of career transitions,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which you are very well versed in, and you've built something that a
Hmm.
lot of people wish they could. But we talked about the idea of relevance rotting. What does that mean, and
Relevance.
why should experienced professionals be paying attention to that? That's definitely not a term I've heard
Is
really, but I know
relevance rotting? Is that the word?
relevance rotting,
Relevance
yeah.
rotting.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen this, right?
Yeah.
The person with a lot of experience saying, seasoned leader,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
experienced executive.
Yeah.
That is relevance rot. Number
Mm.
one, you're answering a question that wasn't asked,
Mm,
and it's pretty obvious based on your LinkedIn page anyway, right? And
Yeah.
so you're
hmm.
wasting time and effort when you could be more direct and
Mm.
more specific.
Yeah.
And what I mean by relevance rotting is trying to be the generic problem solver. I have a girlfriend, I hope she doesn't hear this, but she keeps telling people, I'm a hexagon. Well, fabulous. But we know, and you guys see this all the time, nobody has ever hired for a hexagon. They've hired for the 32 millimeter drill bit for the 32 millimeter hole that they want to drill, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so you can be a hexagon, but talk about how you are relevant for the problem that that company or hiring manager needs to solve for.
Yeah.
It's not about your vibe, it's about theirs. And that's what I mean by not by being precise in your relevance and knowing, but that also means, by the way, know what you're about and know what you care about, because you don't want to be relevant for something that you hate.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so
that
crazy.
sounds terrible.
And it's funny as you say this, because I'm thinking about how many times I wrote a submission to a client and said, seasoned accounting professional, right? And I'm like, damn, Paul, you screwed that up, right? But I mean, when we think about our audience is obviously helping people in career transitions, and there's so much to be thought about how we present people, right? And that 32 million, the 32 millimeter drill bit, right? And how are we really being that specific? And so, I love that, and I think that there's a lot that you can take out of that. And so, when we think about like career transition as well, I mean, there's a lot of like people that are over loyal sometimes, right, to organizations. And I mean, I know, Myrna, we had in our past that we felt like sometimes we were like, oh, stayed a little longer than we wanted to, right? But we talked a little bit about the old model of stay loyal and rise the ladder is no longer valid. And tell us about your kind of opinions on that.
So I think that it is a beautiful, beautiful fairy story, right? That we will have this job and this company that is the final destination. I mean, how many times have we said to ourselves, oh, I'm just on the few years more and then I retire bus. And the truth is, we live in a time when CEOs are declaring there's fewer and fewer roles that are needed, where companies for a long time have been driven to productivity, which really means do more with less, which means fewer people, which is to me a terrible, terrible drive to the bottom. But hey, I'm not running a huge corporation or on, not getting my money from quarterly earnings per share. And so that is a system that we will never beat. And so when you realize that, you realize, number one, you have to do the things that help give you optionality, right? You have to do the things that make you relevant and out there in the open. And that's why personal branding has become such a big thing.
Yes.
And this is also where I think that we have to be better about talking about money and how we create wealth. And I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm sort of in this idea of, we think that a job is our source for income, and it is, but it's also the most taxed revenue that we can achieve. Therefore, we have to follow the billionaire playbook, even though we are, I don't know about you guys, but I'm fairly far off from that.
I got a little work to do as well.
A little bit. But the idea of what they do to create passive investment and to build wealth, not build income, is actually, I think, really important. How they are tax advantaged in every single way that imaginable, like your HSA, your 401k, your anywhere possible. Go get the money. Give yourself options so that it's not terrifying to make the leap and to know that you can be resilient no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And you touched a little bit on this about maybe clinging on to job titles, right? And I know you do a lot of coaching. So when you're talking to, your clients, what are they blindsided by holding on to those titles when the market is like shifting or changes or
their past accomplishments,
when it all changes,
right? Like it's like, but when I was in high school, I did. It's like, okay, cool. You're still
like
Ted
Bundy. He was an all-star high school.
Oh my God. I think one of the first things that usually happens when I talk to somebody, that I try very quickly to break them of, is they want to give me their entire history. And then as if we're in a memoir, and I want their autobiography. And then the second thing that they do, which is also a bit heartbreaking, is as we start to get to know each other, they tell me about being bullied or being gaslit or
Mm,
or otherwise mistreated at work in ways that they would never accept if it were
Mm.
happening to their child.
Yeah.
sure.
But when it's them, they're like, I
Mm,
can muscle through this. And the damage, the emotional, mental
mhm,
damage of that lasts 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And so what is it that keeps them hanging on is this, I've got many clients who've spent 5, 10 years at a company. So it's been a long time
Hmm.
since they've had to be out there and they're
mhm.
afraid their network is not active or whatever the excuse is. And the fear of going out there is kind of like me when I get my flu shot. I think about it for days and it is
Yes.
terrifying by the time I'm there. But then, the woman's like, pitch your arm. And I'm like, oh, that
Yeah.
hurt, but I'm still alive,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And I think if we can remember it, the anticipation is
Mm.
worse than the actual action
Yeah.
and do the things
Mm,
that make what we want concrete, then, you know,
Yeah.
that's what works, right?
I love
yeah.
it. No, and it's true. And it's sometimes you can let a moment ruin your day, right? Just like
Yeah,
that. And it's like, don't let the moment ruin your day. Don't let the anticipation, just go
that's
for it.
right. Just
Yeah.
go for it.
So, I mean, we talked a little bit about the identity, right? So your identity, people's titles, you said that like you kind of like made that your identity. And sometimes
Mm,
your previous work can feel like that's who you are when really it's not, right? And so you also talked a little bit about how retirement, as we know, it's kind of broken, right? Like it's in that
mm.
what do you mean by that? Like what does that mean in the world?
So I don't know many people who are wealthy enough, no matter how much money they have, that feel secure
Mm,
financially
Mm,
right now.
yeah.
And also, kind of like with my own story, we also know that for knowledge workers, we have this ability to do more later in life. I mean, it's
Mm.
not like I'm packing
Yeah, it's
boxes
less
and
physical
bags.
than it used to
right.
It's
be to work.
it's
Yeah.
not physical to work. We can work in a digital format,
Sure.
and we can not have to even leave the house if we don't
Yeah.
want to. And so, you
Me.
know,
Myrna would never leave the house if she didn't have to.
me neither. So we'll never meet. Uh, and so I think that creates a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
And part of longevity and happiness and satisfaction into life is, what Arthur Brooks will call the structure. He probably
Hmm.
uses different words, but these are the ones I remember. The structure that and system that you work in that creates your habit, the
Hmm.
the belief that you're part of something bigger than yourself, right? And so this means that you have to work for others or with others,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
your friends and family. And I think he also talks about faith, but I talk about it in terms of a belief and a purpose.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so when you know that those things are the things that you need for mental and emotional longevity, if you want to live to 115, like apparently I am going to, you need to build towards that and not
Yeah.
sort of assume that you're going to retire at 65,
Yeah.
uh, because it just doesn't work. And then,
Mhm.
Yeah.
for me, maybe I could retire. Like when I looked at myself at the age of 56 and I said, what do I do now? I, of course, talked to a financial planner, and he said, if these things are true, you could retire. But these things are true are not anything that I feel secure about, right?
Mm.
Mm,
Healthcare,
Yeah.
um, the markets,
Yeah.
all the things. And so, why wouldn't you build yourself a safety net that will
Mm.
mm,
help you mentally as well as financially?
Mm.
Why wouldn't you? It just
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be logical to me.
Yeah.
And if you
yeah.
can spend 9, 10 hours a day working for a company that is not yours, you can shave off 30 to 45 minutes a day to work for yourself on
Hmm.
Mm,
something that is going to give you purpose
Yeah.
and meaning and eventually wealth,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
yeah.
And it's true. They say that like what is it in Japan? Your ikagi, IKA. It's basically
Ikigai,
yeah,
ikigai.
ikigai.
Ikigai. Yeah.
It's your purpose, right? And it's something that keeps
Hmm.
you going because they say like if you I think about retirement, I'm like I go crazy. I don't know if I could just sit there and like read a
No.
book. I don't like reading now. Like I could read later, right? Like I just like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not a
not going to
golfer.
magically happen. You're not going to
Right.
suddenly become a reader
Golf
when
is
you retire.
expensive, so that's going to cost money. Like there's just a lot.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's your purpose right there, golf, and not having to read.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
I just don't want to read for the rest of my life.
That's what scares me
What
about
do I do
retirement.
with
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
financially? So people are out there, maybe they've been laid off, right? We've
Yeah.
seen a ton of that over the years. We've seen people have to maybe make a shift
Mm.
into different industries, different titles. But how do professionals find that sense of identity and belonging once they step away from like the traditional role? I know I can personally say that, I worked for a company that yes, I was young and probably naive, but I was like, I could totally see myself retiring from
Mm.
here. And then when it didn't, and then I chose to leave, it was like, rah, what do I,
Yeah, totally. I went through the same.
what do
Yes,
I
we
do
both did that,
now?
Mary. Yes, yeah,
Yeah, we both went through a very similar
yeah.
kind of transition. And whether you want to like admit it or not, it does like play a part in like your ego and how you
Yeah.
like see yourself. So I'm curious because you talk to so many people, what are some maybe tips and tricks of like making that transition a little bit quicker, easier?
So, so I don't know whether there is an easy button,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And it would be false of me to say that there is because everybody's situation is different. But what I will say for a lot of people that I talk to, they're not in violent motion, right?
mhm,
And so, you talk to them, okay, how many people did you contact this week? Like they say, I want to get a new job. Great. How many people did you contact? 4
yeah,
in the last week. Huh. How long did that take you?
Yeah.
right.
Right. And
Yeah.
so if your calendar and your effort doesn't match what your goal is, that's the first thing to be honest with yourself about.
Mm,
Yeah.
And I like, again, when I first was laid off, that was me. And that was when I realized there's no way that I'm going to get my 4 outreaches up to the 100 or so a week that I probably need to get to get
right.
a senior role. There's just no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no way that's going to happen. And then this is also, many moons later, what started me down a path on LinkedIn and posting every day, because as an introvert, really hard for me to reach out, really easy for me to post, right? And
Mm.
so it aligned very well with what I wanted to do anyway, and the way
Yeah,
that I thought about building a
Yeah.
relevant personal brand that
yeah,
converted on LinkedIn. And so you
yeah.
have to you kind of have to know yourself.
Mhm.
You'll laugh. I was talking to somebody on the topic of optimism. I was talking to somebody who's been unemployed for probably 10 plus years.
Mm.
And I had sent her to Phil Terry's Never Search Alone because, the job search can be very, very lonely. And he has this
Excellent.
wonderful
Yeah.
community, the Job Search Council. I don't know how big as it is now, but when I was there, it was pretty huge. And I joined right after I got laid off because I thought, oh, I'm going to
Mm,
get a job. And what he does, and his book is so good, it sort of makes you think about yourself as a product manager, and
Mm.
you are the product. And so, how would you
mm,
describe your features and your value? And how would somebody use you in the context of work, right? And so the process is brilliant. You become part of the community and you go through the chapters with a cohort of 5 people.
Mm.
So you're not alone.
Yeah.
And they hold you accountable, but you have to do the work. And so I met a
mhm.
woman who I recommended to go through that probably a year later. And she's like, oh my God, it was so great. No, I still don't have a job. But I feel very optimistic about it. Great. How many people are you reaching out to? Well, I saw a job in May, like this was literally last month.
Yeah.
I saw a job in May that I thought about talking to somebody from my network because I'd be perfect for it. I'm like, I didn't even know what to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
like, are you at all aware of how fast online applications move? And if you
Very.
saw if you see something in May, they probably closed the listing 24 hours later because they would
Yeah.
have gotten 500 people
Right.
applying, right?
Yes.
And so
Right.
again, you can't be optimistic in the absence of data that shows you have nothing to be optimistic for, which again, I hope she doesn't see this podcast because she'll know I'm calling her out. But
That's okay. Some people need to be called
seriously,
out. It's okay. I
Yeah.
think it's a good call out.
like
Yeah.
be very realistic. If your goal is X,
Mhm.
then reverse engineer from getting to
Yes.
X
Mhm.
from where
Right.
you are. And
Yeah.
this is one of the things that I work with a lot of people on. I have another client who wants to build an independent research analyst business. And she's somebody who, in the old days, working for a big iBank, could move markets, like literally
Mm.
move markets with her recommendations. And she all she needs is 4 customers that are willing to pay her $40,000 a quarter. Well,
Mhm.
4 customers in 90 days, she has a 400-person mailing list of people who would take her call today. We just
Mm-hmm.
had to get her from the 400 to 4 and
Yeah.
what exactly those steps were. It
Hmm.
becomes so possible when you
Mhm.
break
Yeah.
that down into logical steps
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
say, every day I'm going to do a thing.
And
Yeah.
that's how recruiters work. I mean, it's like I'm going to make $300,000. I'm like, okay, well, what actions, what are those leading indicators, right, that you
Mm-hmm.
can actually attack today? And so
Yeah,
the concept works. It's transferable to anything you're going to do
Absolutely.
in life.
1000%,
You just have to identify
1000%.
what are those leading indicators, right? And what do those
Yeah.
Right,
look like? Yep.
right.
It takes some time, absolutely. Well, I
Yep.
know you and I had a great conversation not that long ago because even though we got introduced to Betsy, just like LinkedIn works, you follow someone, somebody tells you this person's great, they recommend them, you follow them, you kind of see what they do, what they talk about. And then I really started getting captivated by Betsy's, post, specifically
Yeah.
one, because it was just so personal. And I
Mm.
know, the workforce, what did we say? Betsy makes up 50% of women.
Mm.
And, you working with women and transitioning and rebranding themselves. How have you found kind of the silent struggle of premenopause, menopause impacting these women in leadership roles, their
Mm.
confidence, career transitions, all of
Mm.
it? I know I have my 2 cents, but I'd love to hear yours.
First of all, I mean, the world is just waking up to the fact that
It really
we
is.
are an ideal market, right?
Mm.
Worth, I don't know, 600 billion something
Mm.
dollars because we are older, we are educated, and we have disposable income,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so one of the things, and one of the hottest companies that is targeting women like us is MIDI Health, run by a fantastic CEO named Joanna Strober, who saw a real issue in the marketplace where um, women are not getting the care that they need
Mm.
when they're going through brain fog, when
Mm,
they're having, in my case, endometriosis.
Mm.
And so I was in excruciating pain for a year and a
yeah.
half, and my doctor kept saying, "Oh, it's just, why don't you take this pill or do this?" And
Yeah.
no, you need to take my uterus out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I found a female doctor who she kind of got that. And
Hmm.
it's the same thing for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Menopause, perimenopause was not talked about. Like
Mm.
even with my sister, she's a doctor. She and I never talked about what was going on for us
Mm,
until recently.
Mm.
And we have to normalize talking about it
Yeah.
because when women are in the height of their um, career power, right?
Yeah.
In their 40s and 50s,
It's
that's
when the
when their
body.
brains are starting to tap out and
they're
the hormones
literally
are
just
going.
shutting down.
Yeah.
Literally just shutting down the
Yeah.
brain fog, the inability to sleep, which
Mm.
affects so much.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then on top of that, many of us get the unpaid second shift, right? Because we
Mm.
have a parent or a loved one who now needs our care outside of work. And
Mm.
so the system in which we work assumes a perfect 9 to 5,
Mm.
that we get to go home and replenish our energy. No,
Yeah.
we get to go home and work the second shift and take
Yeah.
care of somebody else's life on top of our own. And
Yeah.
that's what doesn't work. And that's why, I post a lot about, I post a lot because number one, I'm kind of sick of the same old LinkedIn influencer, bald white guy guru. And I feel there should be voices
Yeah, I
for
agree.
more of
That's,
us,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
I think there should be voices for more of us, and 50% of us are suffering in silence.
Mhm.
And it just is, it doesn't have to
It's
be that
no,
way.
it's like it's fun. I think it's if you normalize it. And again, I don't know what that's like, but I can only imagine that if you normalize it and people realize it's okay that I'm a little effed
Right.
up in the head right now because
Yeah,
it's what happens to us, but I'm still
yeah,
here and I'm
Yeah.
showing up, right? Like
that's right. That's
and
right.
so yeah, I get it.
And
I
Well,
get it.
it's
And it,
almost
and it's
like,
just your body. Yeah.
yeah. And think of it like mental health, right? Like even
Yes.
10 years ago, it was like, ugh. Like even
Mm,
just 5 years ago, like it
yeah.
was, you had to have like a very compassionate leader or
oh,
maybe
you
somebody who
never
was
talked about
going
it.
through that to really like
Hmm.
open up about it or feel comfortable. And so I do feel like this is kind of like that wave
Yeah.
of new information getting out there and just having the people to support to kind of help women through this. Because, man, I know mine isn't brutal, but I've heard some brutalness out there for women. And it's just like, I just feel for women. I
Well,
feel
not
for my
only that,
moms.
yes, but not only that, but think about it. If you are running a company and
Right.
you know that 50% of your senior leaders are working at half their capacity because you haven't figured out how to make accommodations that
Mm.
allow them
Mm.
to be fully present,
Hmm.
fully productive, full fully innovative, right?
Yeah.
You are so wasting
Yes, talent.
the
Yeah,
talent,
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're
right?
you're holding your company back
You're
because you're not
holding
willing
your company
because you have
back.
these outdated like
Yeah.
work ethics and
Hmm.
so it's yeah, I totally get that. Well,
Yeah.
I love that we talked about that and I think that that's something that again I love. Again, if you're not following Betsy, I love it. I'm always scrolling through
So
your
many fun
posts, you know what I
topics.
mean?
Yeah.
I'm not even a woman, but I'm diving in, right? Like let's go. Well, so I guess let's talk a little bit about that branding then, right? And
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
future of work, because we're talking about kind of how, women, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to use AI in order to be more productive in your work. And some people are afraid
Yeah.
of it. I think some people don't want to use it because of pride, right? They're like, I don't need
Mm.
Yeah.
that. I can do it on my own,
Yeah.
right?
Very
So
much.
yeah. And so you said that AI is like the dawn of electricity, right? And so
Yes.
like, what do you mean by that? And how should
I love
like
that.
staffing professionals and people approach it?
So, uh, number one, people talk a lot about AI skills versus human skills.
Mm,
Mm.
I fundamentally, for knowledge workers, don't know what the difference is,
mm,
right? And so I think the mindset shift we have to get in is AI skills and human skills will be increasingly intertwined. And as staffing professionals and as HR leaders, we have to help and guide our companies in when is it that this is important that Albie, the AI is doing the work versus Harriet, the human,
mm,
because there are
Mm.
choices and nuances of decisions that you will want to be able to make depending on what the brand and the customer experience is,
mhm.
right? And it is
Yeah,
not one size fits all. It is
right.
not. And so this is also the way I think about fundamentally, like right now, AI is still relatively immature from an enterprise level. Where it's
Mm.
not immature and where it's a huge advantage for solopreneurs like me is the ability to use it, like I did in my book, to create the books as a thought partner,
Mm,
as
Mm.
a external in point of view. And then
mhm,
also the thing that I didn't talk about is that what makes my books marketing machines is that I've built in custom GPTs and my AI clone so that if you wanted to have a conversation that was deeper, you could talk to the custom GPTs or the clone that I created about the
Mm.
book. And then I get to know who's engaging
mm,
with the clone. and see what they're interested in. And so,
That's
you
awesome.
know, there are so many ways that
Yeah.
AI does more than just make you write an email faster or a
Right.
proposal
Right.
faster.
Yeah.
And
Make it
what
not sound too snappy, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that the skill that, you know, for anybody who's ever had a conversation with a human,
Mhm.
who's ever asked a question in that conversation, and then who's ever said, I don't know if I understood that answer. Can you give me
Yeah.
the results this way? Like any of you who that fits, you can be great at AI. Like
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
literally. It's
Yeah.
about developing a relationship. And with
Mhm.
a human, it takes about 200 hours before you have an intimate relationship with a human.
Huh?
And so think about AI as just time spent, 15 minutes a day, figuring out what AI is good at and what it isn't, and not
Mhm.
listening to people who just say, like, if you're not using AI, you're already behind. Just
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
Just use
Yeah.
it.
And it's funny, we're going to have a live podcast in about a week and a half talking about
Yeah.
how people can start, you know, where people stop stalling, start going, right? Kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely. And I love that you said, like, even though, you know, when you think about large organizations, sometimes they can become a little echo chambery, right? And it's like you can utilize AI to really infuse some new thought process as well. I think that there's
That's
so many
exactly right.
opportunities. So
So
I love
many.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even just the fact that you built your own custom like GPT,
Yeah.
right, is wild. So,
Mhm.
So easy. You can come talk to me about it
Yeah.
okay,
anytime.
perfect.
Did
Will
you write a
do.
book about it? I need to see
Well, it's in the first book. It's in the
Okay.
first book.
Good.
And by the way, chat, like everybody thinks my chat GPTs, my custom GPTs are really amazing. And they're amazing because I use ChatGPT's custom GPT builder.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I'm brilliant at coding.
No, you're brilliant. Yeah.
Right? You know, like
Yeah.
use the available tools and
Yes.
expertise to make yourself better. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really like the conversation we're having, right? It's understanding the tools out there, getting to know the tools, use them, and be
Yeah.
efficient. And I love that.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
And just kind of jumping off of that, because I know you talked a lot about building the brands and being
Mm.
on LinkedIn. You know, how can recruiters and professionals
Mm.
use LinkedIn as a platform to their own brand? And I know you've kind of talked a little bit
Mm.
about that, but do you have any like maybe tangible steps that you can
Yeah.
share?
Well, you know, the foundation of the authority architecture is really simple. It starts with really understanding what your niche is and
Mm,
who that ideal client is. And I don't mean a demographic, I don't mean a customer segment, I don't mean anything that is that cold. I literally mean who is the person you imagine yourself talking to all the time. And for me, it's my girlfriend Shannon, right? She's a
mm,
CFO at a startup, and she is somebody who is brilliant and entrepreneurial and understands that even though her career path is this for right now, she
right.
also has an eye to the future and what she
Yeah.
wants to build when she gets there. And
Yeah.
so, you know, the reason I say you have to talk to a person instead of a segment is people buy from people. And
Yeah.
when we get our head into on LinkedIn, when we first start posting, like this is what my post this morning was about, is we think, ta-da, I am posting to this auditorium of people and they're
Yes.
faceless, right? They don't know. They don't know. And
Yeah.
that doesn't work. That doesn't work unless you happen to be Adam Grant. Then, you know, you're Adam Grant. So everybody will listen.
Yeah.
But when you're
Yeah.
Betsy
Love Adam
Tong,
Grant too. So that's right.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. Adam
right.
Grant, Simon Sinek, and then, you know.
They're all good guys, right?
And Brene Brown. It's my trifecta. Sorry.
Oh, Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel. Can't forget
Yeah.
Mel.
Love
Yeah.
Mel,
Yeah.
all of them.
And so when you're Betsy Tong and you have
Yeah.
a much smaller following, you have to really think about that one person and talking to her
Yeah.
instead of at her, right?
Mm.
And so that's the way I encourage people to start is nobody wants your lessons. Nobody will follow you if they don't actually believe in you and who you are.
Mm,
And that's why you see me posting
Yeah.
personal stories as well.
yes.
Like I talked about going on Ozempic a couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that post worked for a couple of reasons. Number one, everybody's nosy about why would somebody go on Ozempic?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm like, I'm in. Yeah.
What's that
I thought
about,
about it. Yeah.
Right. And it was a very personal and real story about how
Yeah.
much it sucks to gain weight when you're menopausal, right? And
Mm,
feeling out of control.
yeah.
And the fact that Ozempic is this magic thing that helped me get my food demons
Yeah.
under control.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I think that's true because sometimes you see those people on LinkedIn and they're just like constantly posting their company updates. And I'm like, who are you? Like what
Yeah.
this like you are your
I
company.
don't care.
It's that
Right.
identity thing, right? It's like they're
Yep, that's
identified
right.
as that's who they are. But even though you work for the company doesn't mean that you can't be yourself, right?
Well, and we also know over and over again that the personal brand does so much better than the professional brand. And really smart companies like ServiceNow, Lego, and
Oh,
others are sort of allowing user-generated content that
Mm,
is and also looks very organic. And we
mhm.
also saw this very strongly with what's the Indiana Caitlin Clark's coach. She just
Oh,
last week
oh,
she posted something very controversial about how she wanted the team, the Indiana Fever, is that it?
yes.
To be like Apple, and everybody was like, no, it's Caitlin Clark, lady.
yeah.
And I guess it got so wild she had to delete her social media.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
kind of that mob, in that case, mob engagement is
Yeah.
the power of a personal brand and
Mm.
Mm,
personal belief versus a company,
yeah.
right? Even Apple, Steve Jobs was Apple,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
wasn't Apple with Steve Jobs.
No, yeah, correct. He was really, when you think about it, that's who you think about, right? And that's
Yeah.
important.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I know, I mean, God, there's so much, and I want to keep, we're going to keep rocking because I have a couple questions that I wanted to ask you, but you talk a little bit about your 7 hacks and the strategy for relevance, and I would like, could you like quickly walk us through your 7 hacks, and
Yes.
then also maybe point out ones that maybe people struggle with the most.
Okay, so first, LinkedIn, the hacks specifically are about LinkedIn as your landing page. Number
Mm.
one, the banner. I love a good sunset picture, but come on, wasted space, right?
You're
Talk
making me think
about,
about what do I have now.
I know,
I
right?
know. I'm like, let me pull up
Oh,
my LinkedIn profile. Let me do this in actual time.
because very rarely will anybody look at
Mm,
your LinkedIn profile, right? But when they do, it should say something relevant so that the
mm.
people that you want to serve understand that you're there for them, and the people you don't serve are pushed away. And so most people create a vibe. I mean, I know a
Yeah.
woman who is a coach who said, I coach on compassion. And okay, I don't know any executive who's ever woken up and said, I want to get coached on compassion today. But what she really is good at is scaling companies from 50 to 500 and working through all the issues that happen when you're scaling really fast and helping leadership mature, right? Like
Mm.
that's something I would buy
That's
all day
that's
long.
tangible. Yeah,
Right.
That's
exactly.
right. And it
Yeah.
has a value to the person that she wants to attract. And so
Mhm.
your headline and your banner should be explicitly very crisp words about what you do and for whom and the value they derive, right? There's another guy that now I know we all can't be the specific, but I thought what he had was really, really great. I help 7-figure SaaS founders build their get LinkedIn growth of X% in 90 days. Again, not everybody can be that specific, but many people do. I'm a speaker. I'm a blogger. I'm a HR, blah, blah, blah. And they have 7 things in their headline. And I'm like, I don't know which one you are. And then you're not
I
really
hate my
writing.
headline. I hate my headline. I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, damn it, Paul. Anyway.
I know. I'm thinking about it all.
So, but no, it's true. I
I'm
love it.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good
right.
stuff for
And
sure.
then the about you, if somebody,
Yeah.
so then the next thing that people will see is your featured tiles.
Mm.
Right.
And most people just put a smash of all their popular posts. Well, I don't care. If I bother to scroll down at this point, it's because I probably want to contact you. So make it easy. I just
Mm.
have one, hey, book time with me there.
Mm.
Other people do other things, or, if I'm doing a webinar, I put the link to the webinar there,
Hmm.
but make it so easy, reduce the friction of getting somebody in there
Yeah.
to talk to you. Don't make it hard. Don't make
Yeah.
it hard, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's brain is a default no. And if I bother to look at your page and I see that you're for me, I then want to know how to get in touch with you, because that's the highest point of engagement. The other things we've already touched on, which is like when you're writing, write to a friend,
Hmm.
not the faceless audience of thousands.
Yeah,
Right.
divulging to the world. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Who, in theory, they're not, nobody's watching you, right? And that leads me to the next hack, which is understanding that nobody cares what I'm writing. Nobody cares.
Mm.
Mm.
And that's a really big, that's not a negative. It's like,
Yeah.
awesome. I can write
It's
anything then.
freeing.
Anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's
Nobody will
liberating.
Freeing.
remember.
Mhm.
Exactly. And I can always delete it later if I think it was terrible.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that ability to let go of perfection and just get out there and do it is
Yeah.
really important. I don't know how many I'm at now,
No,
but
you can have
but
100. I love them. They're great.
yes. And then the other thing that is also true and really made a difference for me is I engage a lot more than I post. And so everybody sees how much that I post every day, but few people see that I'm also engaging all over the place and
Yeah.
and trying to do it, because LinkedIn fundamentally is an engagement platform.
Yes.
And so if you engage, it's a good thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I love it.
Absolutely. Because you want people, like if you're engaging,
Yeah.
right, people are engaging with you, and it's
Yeah.
just part of the LinkedIn world. And
That's
it's
right.
just how it works.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Now, God, we can keep talking. I mean, this has been
Forever.
amazing, Betsy. So
Yes.
this is great, and we'll have to bring you back for sure. But I
Thank
want to get
you.
into
Yes.
the fast forward, kind of get to know
Yes.
Betsy a little bit on a more personal level.
Yeah. I mean, you could
But
just read her LinkedIn. Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
that's
Yeah,
it.
it's all
yeah,
there.
that'll, yeah.
I'm out.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. Make it super easy. What's one thing on your bucket list you haven't done yet, Betsy?
Oh my gosh. Well, at my age, I've done almost everything. Um, Maybe go to Australia.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah,
Highly
I'm gonna.
recommend. Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, but
yes.
Morocco
Yeah.
also now goes on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
travel. There's a lot of travel that I
Oh,
haven't done yet that I would like to do. Morocco and
Yes.
yeah.
Australia. I'd probably go to Morocco first though, because the flight is shorter.
I
They're
was
all
watching
long.
somebody feed Phil the other day. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
But there
yeah,
was
yeah.
this young couple that like they traveled to every country in the world already, and they're like in their 30s, and I'm like, I need to get out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
need to travel.
Yeah.
They're
I
like,
know.
travel
I
is the
know.
best education. Okay, so what is something that people would never guess about you by just reading your LinkedIn profile?
I am a hyper introvert.
Yeah, you
Okay.
said that, and I was just like,
I know. We're like,
never would have got that. It's crazy. So you definitely need to recharge your batteries then, huh?
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like,
I love that.
okay, you're too close.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, because I call it like I'm too people-y, which means I've just been around too many people for too long. And so
Yeah,
I had like a niece visit, then we had like it was just like a
yeah.
lot of
It's a lot.
family. And I'm like, okay, I'm too people-y now. I
You
need to
texted
be
me. You're
like,
like, I can't people right now. I'm
I
like,
can't
okay,
people. I
I'll
literally
talk to
text
you
them. I'm like,
later.
I can't do it. Nobody would want me to people with these people today. I can't have people.
Down with people.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Oh,
Let's
there-
see. Next question. Let's see. What's your go-to comfort food or guilty pleasure after a long day, Betsy?
Mm.
Well, now I'm on Ozempic, and so I don't
Oh,
operate that way anymore. But
Amazing.
I love that.
no,
Amazing.
right?
Yeah,
Like, oh my gosh, it's so freeing. I can't even tell you.
I
yeah.
love that.
Um, Hold on one second. I am running late.
Oh, I know we're keeping you
I
lost.
No,
know.
I
Shoot, Betsy.
yeah, so one of the things that I think about in terms of emotional self-regulation for me is watching Law and Order Criminal Intent.
I love it. There you go.
Like I'm like,
That's food right there. Just eat
oh
it
my,
up.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching it for like the third or fourth time.
I love it.
I don't know what it is,
I love
but
it.
it just at the end of a stressful day, I'm like, oh, going to bed, gonna turn on Law and Order Criminal Intent. Lord,
I love
let's
it.
get it.
Let's do it. I love
Well,
that.
I gotta tell you, I am super grateful for you, Betsy, and I wanted to ask you, what is something that we love to end with gratitude, but what's something you're just super grateful for right now?
I am so grateful to have the privilege to have choices.
Mm.
And I think about every day, like, again, I post everything on LinkedIn, so I'm kind of like Taylor Swift that way. If we have a conversation, it's probably ending up in a post.
You're the Taylor Swift of
I'm the
LinkedIn.
Taylor
I
Swift of
love
LinkedIn.
it.
But one of the things that is really driving me in my business is, you know, I posted my plan to get to 88 million
Mm.
in 6 years a couple weeks ago. And the plan is to get 96 people a year over 100,000. And then of them, there might be 10 of them that are ready to get to a million. And then how do I do that repeatedly every single year? Because that's the path to freedom. And that's the path to what I think is tremendously exciting about the business environment that is possible right now when the world is moving to solopreneurs, when digital tools and digital access and digital distribution makes so many things so much easier than it would have before. And so why wouldn't we take advantage of that? Why wouldn't we get ahead? And how can I help those people that are ready to do that?
Yeah.
You know,
I
that's
love it. I
yeah.
love it.
That is
Betsy,
true passion, Betsy. Thank you.
thank you. And we're sorry we made you late for your next
So
meeting, but oh my
sorry.
God, so worth it. I'll do it every day. So thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
And
joining
we'll
us
have to
today.
bring you back for
I
Yes,
would love it. I
absolutely.
would love it.
Yes.
Love you
Awesome.
guys.
Well, love you. It's so good to see you. Thank you again. And
Thanks.
guys, if you like this, smash that like button, share Betsy, get her out there because
Yes,
she's
she's
fantastic
good.
to connect with. Thank you so much, Betsy. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.